If you're a CEO and you work in the Nigerian space, I've got good news for you and I've got bad news for you. Okay, it depends on the side of the divide you're at. That's really what determines. The quality of the relationship that you've got with data and information will determine what kind of message you get to hear in the next 2 to 3 years. You either hear a congratulatory message or you hear a message of condolence. And the focus of that condolence or congratulation is actually going to be for your business. The interesting thing that we really do need to understand is that in the next 2 to 3 years, based off of technological trends, your competitor is not going to be the fellow human being. You'll begin to have artificial intelligence becoming your competitor. And that is when a lot of businesses will go out of business. Why? Because the systems and the structures that they have been holding on to are not really that feasible. They're not relevant, they're not sustainable, they're not competitive. They have certain systems and processes that have lots of loopholes. They're like holes in a basket, okay? Even though they seem to make some sort of profit, but eventually you get to realize that for many organizations, the core of the sustainability and your future relevance is not actually going to be on how profitable you are. It's about how porous your system might be, how susceptible you might be to influences of data and competition of that vice. There are certain core values that you're still struggling with as a CEO when it comes to things like credibility, integrity, innovation, research and development, and you're not even making this any part of your budget. I've got bad news for such organizations, or you might not really have much to do. Let me tell you something in case you don't know about human needs. One of the things about the fact that human needs are unsatiable, there would always be needs for new things. But the other thing is that the mind of the human being can easily be steered towards the area of best comfort or best persuasion. And you cannot outwork artificial intelligence. You cannot outwork a robot. And so what systems can you begin to think about? And this is one of the reasons why organizations and executives need to begin to think outside the box. You know, the box has conditioned many people to think in the lines of profitability, in the lines of the best quality teams that they have, in the lines of government, processes, policies, all of that, which is still good. But one of the things they're leaving out, which is the fulcrum on which everything stands, is data. And there are many smart organizations right now that are beginning to walk in the line of data. They're beginning to embrace data. They're beginning to see the gaps within their organizations, and they're doing something about it. Now, organizations who learn to have data for every part of their user journey or customer journey, they're actually doing the right thing. Why is that? It becomes very easy for such organizations to pivot and to move from a digital system to an agentic system. Now, many organizations who still struggle with that will have nothing to work with. It's almost like trying to say that a lot of people rode cars, but now we are getting to a point where there is a flood coming, and every system that is grounded, every system that is built for the ground will be swept away. And so it is wisdom for any organization to begin to see what do we have within our systems and structures that will allow us to be airborne. It is much more difficult for something that is airborne to be swept away by the floods. It is much easier for the things that are on the ground to be swept by the floods. I'm telling you, the flood is not coming. The flood is here. You can see the rains already, metaphorically. They're going to sweep everything and anything that is built for the ground. And so every executive, every organization must begin to put their house in order. What systems and structures will enable you to ride upon the new waves instead of drowning within it. And that is what data consciousness and the agentic revolution will afford you. Begin to look for the gaps. The new SWOT analysis is not just going to be based on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or threats with regards to external factors like human beings. Every organization now must understand how to compete, or better still, collaborate with artificial intelligence. When artificial intelligence becomes fully commercially agentic, it's going to give a lot of organizations a run for their money. And that is when you get to realize that a lot of people have been sleeping on what they could have used to build an airborne organization. And so I've got a question for you. It's something for you to really do ponder on. Are you still building a grounded organization? Are you actually thinking of how to become airborne? You don't have to answer the question now. Life is really going to let us know those who have been able to do something about that. Because when the floods come, when the revolution of agentic AI comes and sweeps across every economy, no one will be left. No one is immune. Because everything that deals with systems, structures, and processes will almost be immaculately and effectively done by agentic AI. And so, start building, start collaborating, begin to seek innovation and new ways to do what you're currently doing now. I'll give you an example that can toggle your memory in another light. Think of the post office. The post office was a major invention of man that was built upon innovation. And that is the very fact that it was very time-consuming, cost-consuming for every man to go to a new location and communicate something to another person. Distance was a barrier. Time was a barrier. And so, the new means of communication, which was written form of communication, was the new technology of the time. And it was leveraged in such a way that instead of you going miles to go speak to a friend or a contemporary, why not have you write that in a letter, and a system will be in charge to ensure that what you have written in that letter gets to the person who is intended to read the letter. Hence, the revolutionary invention of the post office. And it really did solve a lot of problems for the human race in the 19th and 18th century. But now, another innovation caught it. It was like, okay, why do we really need the post office? Everything the post office can do, in the sense that the post office is a physical structure that has physical processes, can we make them digital? And here is the birth of the email. The email saves time, saves effort. You just have to be in your space, have a computer system, have an access to the internet, know the email address of the person you want to send it to, and voila, you type, you click, you send, and it's there. No more post office that needs to waste a lot of money on fuel to carry letters to different towns and different places. Within seconds, the person on the other end gets the message. Now you can imagine how much it was, how much cost, how much money that was saved, how much human effort that was saved in digitizing a physical post office into what's known as an email. And this was relevant in the last, say, 20 years. Now, you have no idea what the age of artificial intelligence, the technology of artificial intelligence is going to do. It is no longer digitizing it, it is automating it. You think it, you don't have to type it, just let the agentic AI understand what you want to communicate, and the machine goes to work, sends the message, gets the reply, and all of this is done without lifting a finger. Imagine what will happen to the economics of organization. This is why I believe that organizations need to begin to think in this line. every part, systems, structures, and processes that you have today, begin to think about it. Put them to the AI test. How can we build this using an artificial intelligence system? What new technology can we use to make sure that things are autonomous, things run well, and things run efficiently? If you're not thinking about it, your competitors are already doing that. And remember, when the floods come and you have not built an organization that can be airborne, that might be the condolence message you have been waiting for. But for innovative and smart executives who are future thinking, begin to pool resources and thoughts, creating think tanks and brainstorming sessions to understand how can we make our organizations airborne. When they do that effectively, they will get the congratulation message. And so this is a task that is before you. I know you must make profit. I know you must secure customers. I know you must do a whole lot of things. One of the things I would want you to do is add to all the myriads of tasks and goals and strategic objectives that you think you have. Ensure that your organization can live through for the next 2 to 5 years. It's on your table, and let's see what you're going to do about it. This is Kenny Omiyale, and I do believe that intelligence is the values that every organization must build, because that will be from where many solutions will drive from. And without data, there is no intelligence. See you next time.